When I work with lower mid-market clients, oftentimes folks come to me with a challenge around, either they're wanting to grow or they want to make more money, right? It's profitability. Now, that is, let's say, the external facing presentation of the challenge, right? That's like, when you've got a cold sore on your mouth, right?
That's the symptom.
You don't know that's a symptom, right? You don't know
Yeah.
exactly what's causing that, right? And so you may be vitamin C deficient, you may be dehydrated, you may be another mineral, deficient, but you've got to go figure that out. So I kind of take a similar approach to business challenges where owners say, hey, I'm not making enough money. I want to be more profitable. I should be able to be making X, right? Or we haven't really been growing. My revenue has been more or less flat for the past 18, 12, 6 months. So, I want to grow. How do I do that? Generally, what I start with is what I call an owner's operating model audit, right? I want to understand, and quite frankly, just one step aside, right? The problem solving approach is first data gathering, right? So you think you put that under the hat of, I need to go gather data to figure out what's the status of things. Mm-hmm. How are things working today? And in a small business, as we already touched on, you don't have these big departments with lots of resources and a lot of process, that's formalized and established. And so it's kind of easier to narrow in on things, or you can go to a department head and say, tell me everything that's going on, right? So we have to come at this from a very ground level, practical approach. And that starts with understanding roles and responsibilities, right, throughout different functions of the business. So let me give you an example. I was working with a client, right? I'm going to use a super simple one, which was a coffee shop, right? This was a coffee shop. Somebody bought a coffee shop in the pandemic. They had a full-time job, if you will, as an attorney at a tech company, mm-hmm. and they bought a coffee shop in the pandemic. Didn't have a lot of experience operating and running a coffee shop, and felt like profitability was, they were not profitable. They weren't making money on a month-over-month basis, and wanted to change things. So we thought that, the hypothesis going in was my pricing is wrong, or, my staffing level is wrong. I'm paying too much on labor, right? So when you've got a profitability challenge, you look at your P&L and you're like, what are the big line items, right? If the big line items are taking up a large percentage of my revenue, right, or my total cost, I must attack that one. That must be the issue. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not automatically wrong, but you want to double click into that a lot more. So, continue with the example, we start by understanding what are all the roles that exist in the coffee shop. You've got baristas, you've got, clerks at the front who are taking payment and taking orders. You might have a food prep person in the back. Maybe mm-hmm. there's a manager. Maybe there's not a manager. And you've just got all doers, and it's not clear, right, who makes tough decisions when there's conflict or when there's friction. Right. So we first want to go and map out what are the roles, right? And what are they supposed to be doing?